Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Thor here, and get ready for Gnosis. We're going to look at another few radionic units. This is the radionic unit called PSI 1, built by a company that's out of Mexico. These have been selling on the internet for quite a long time. And it's quite interesting, as usual, the kind of crap that's put out there. But let's try to find here. Okay, I was looking for my measure, my ruler, so to speak. This is 5 inches by about 2 3/4, 2.5. Thickness is about 2 inches. To kind of give an idea of, so this is a very small unit, very, very light. It is non-electrical in any way whatsoever. And of course, as we all know, radionics is not Hertzian, so that it is not electrical. People get carried away with that. But you do have to understand, if you don't amplify your very low energies and the special informational energetic fields that radionics is based in, you don't really get much results. It's very difficult. You have to amplify everything, or you have to use a very strong symbolic machine like we offer. This will give you much better. But, you know, even with symbolic machines, you're kidding yourself if you think you're going to get fantastic results with it. They do work, and depending on your concentration abilities and your focusing abilities, they will manifest for you. But, you know, you can take a symbolic box like we have and connect it directly to a real amplifier and transmitter, as you see these two items right here. These are fantastic units. They're reasonably priced, and they are very powerful, state-of-the-art with our wireless transfer system. Now, this does, of course, at least have the basics. It's got a target, place, and a trend. Again, these are fancy terms. I'm not sure who came up with that. It just makes things confusing. It should be witness plate and rubbing plate, or in and out plate. Now, let's also look at this. You can see the kind of dial here. So what you've got here is the cheapest possible dial that you can get here. These are under $1. It could be 25, 30 cents if you buy them in any kind of volume. The numbers are printed on the box, and you can see this is by PS1 Radionic Machine, the Intelligent Rate Dial. I'm not going to go into their theories and what they do, but at least it has 2 plates. It has a dial. But the problem is one dial is worthless. You can't dial anything with one dial. So you just don't have enough there. So in terms of it doing anything, you get much better results if you're using a symbolic type machine, similar to this, with powerful cards that you insert in it with your picture, etc. These target and trends are also very small. This is 1 inch by 2 inch. So if you're going to put photos and other things on here, it's going to be difficult. And of course, this dial then turns, of course, and it goes up to 10. And that at least seems to work. Now, this is a very, very cheap cabinet. As I said, these are made in Mexico, which is not exactly known for its high-quality work, but it really depends on the individual. I mean, it's not made terrible, but this is, this is a $2 enclosure box, maybe $2 to $5 bucks for something like this, if that much. It is screen printed here, so that costs extra money. So somebody had to take these boxes they bought, screen print onto it to put the dial. So other geniuses like Magitech puts a sticker here. It's so sophisticated. So at least that's a little bit of professionality. Now, apparently they've been able in here, they've actually put glue in the screws so it's hard to open. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to pry this open here because the screws don't work. And we're going to actually see this here. One of the few items that we don't put on actual Patreon here. You'll be able to see what's inside of this. I'm going to pry it up here, and then I will be right back so we can look inside. Oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, let's do the energy test as I always do. What is the energy of this unit? Is it positive? And we've got it on off. Is it positive, negative, or neutral? Oops. Let me get my... Okay, I'm back here to test this out. I've got my... This is my favorite pendulum now. We've tested this out. It works extremely well. Perfect for radionics. It has a nice ball here to catch energy. It's got a point as the energy flows up. So this is a very excellent design and perfectly made for radionics. And of course, you always test everything you get to find out if it is positive, negative, or neutral. And we're going to find out here with this. Is this positive, negative, or neutral of its general energies? And like most products out there, this is neutral, which makes sense to a degree. But of course, if it's neutral, then it means the fact that it's really not putting out good positive energy as a rule. It's neutral, not putting out bad energy. That's a start. If you get your typical orgone machines, they put out horrible negative energy. And again, you can test this yourself. This is not something that I create. Let's turn the dial up here to see if that means anything. So we just kind of activated it, and we're going to hold it over the target witness plate. Does this have positive energy, positive, neutral, or negative? And again, it is neutral, which kind of makes sense. You know, you're always better off getting a positive spin. Now, if you see something like the boxes that I create, and you ask the same thing, does this give off positive, negative, or neutral energies? And you can see right off the bat, this has a good clockwise spin to it. So, I mean, that means there's some good energy in here. When it's neutral, it means nothing's happening, which is so typical of radionic devices made by buffoonish idiots. So you've got this very simplistic machine. We can then, and let's turn that up again. That was down. Let's ask it again with it all the way up in this. Is this positive, negative, or neutral? And again, it's neutral. So, the problem is neutral means nothing is happening. Anytime you get a neutral spin on anything, it's much better than a negative spin, which means it's putting out bad energy. But if it's not putting out good energy, well, you've got a problem. Some people think neutral may be good because it means that it is you have to put the energy into it. But if it's not putting out good energy to begin with, when you put other energy on there, well, you're robbing yourself of energy. Now, one of the things I always like to try, and we'll do this on camera here, is have they connected anything to these plates? A lot of times you'll find it isn't. The infamous SC5, of course, has nothing connected to its plates. It has just a plastic panel over the top here, and there's no wiring to it. So step one here is that at least this guy's got this right. He's got connections or wires going to. Of course, it is not electromagnetic, the energy we're dealing with here, but most people have wires as some sort of a semblance of flow. This guy's got a wire going to the trend and the target. So that's a good start. At least they got some brains here. And what is this? Well, this is just circuit board again. This circuit board is has some copper so it looks like it's only copper on the bottom, which is not good. It doesn't look like there's copper on the top here. Is it one-sided circuit board? Let's take a look at this. It's hard to say. But if you're going to use wiring and everything else and you don't have conductivity on the top, where the energy is supposed to flow from the top down and go in, this is connected to the copper kind of foil that's underneath here. And it doesn't look like there's anything on the top here in terms of any kind of copper-cladded board. So it's actually got this a little bit backwards. This plate should be flipped over because it doesn't look like, let me look at this for a second here. I'm not sure why you would put an insulator. Again, we have an insulator here on the top. This is some sort of plastic here. He's using it upside down. What it looks like, it should be upside down. This should have been on top, and the wires should have been connecting to that. But it's, again, ass backwards. Yeah, I'm a radionic guy. So, it doesn't look like there's anything here that I can tell. It's hard to say, but again, insulating the top here makes no sense at all, especially if you're dealing with the flow of energies. And it's got your standard gauge wire here. I'm not sure what that is, 20, 22. Standard gauge wire. It's soldered here and there. Looks like it's soldered pretty good. Now I'm going to have to pry this open here, so let me get to that, and then we'll be back. Okay, I've opened it basically. Of course, and all these things. This costs close to $200 now for this $5 plastic. This 50-cent or 25-cent knob. This little circuit board, probably about 50 cents. I'm assuming printing on this costs 50 cents or $1. So, you're very much $5-6 to put this whole thing together in terms of that. This actual case is one of your cheaper cases that is out there. It's very weak plastic. And let's look with this too. Ooh, it's empty. What's in there? It looks like air, Dr. Thor. Well, basically it is. But let's turn it over and see the magnificent circuit this is. It took a genius to make this. So basically, he's got a wire going to the, what I call the in and out plates, your trend and your target. It's got one wire going there and one wire going there, which is adjusted to here. So basically, the energy flows from the actual I guess it's the trend, dependent. I'm not sure what target means. That would be your out plate. The trend which you put on there. Those kind of terms are used by morons. So the whole idea is that you're supposed to adjust the energy going from, I believe it's the target to the trend, and you adjust it here. And this is a capacitor. So capacitors, if you know anything about capacitors, they store energy and then release it. And he's got a capacitor. Okay. The capacitor is going to this main wire, and it's on the pot, which I guess is flowing it here. So what you're doing, the idea behind capacitors is to regulate the flow of energy. So you would be tuning this, and of course, the capacitor then would release energy to the level that you want it. So the only thing you can really do with something, because you can't tune this, but if you want to think you're releasing energy, that you put something on the trend, and that energy is then sent to whoever the target is, you would then be tuning it this way, coming up with a one number rate. So the whole idea is 4 or 5. Here's 5. That's not a rate to do anything with. So single rates are worthless. You can get a little bit of tuning with 3 dials, and that's the minimum you can use. But generally, 3 dials are very inferior. You need to have 9 dials if you're going to tune something. Now, there are lots of ways of tuning things. We're going to show people how to do it psychically tuning, how to use rates and other things with symbolic machines, or basically what are symbolic transmitters, and so forth in the future. Right now, this is your very typical machine. Of course, this does absolutely nothing. As I said, this is a cheapo little plastic box. With it, let's see. So it's basically soldered well. The solderings are strong. I can pull on these. They don't pull off. Those are all things to show you that at least someone was giving some thought to it, not just slapping it on. You'd be surprised how many wires you just pull off and so forth. But again, this is totally and completely useless. There's nothing you're going to do here. If you want to get real energy, instead of messing around and spending $200 for something like this, get yourself a good symbolic box like behind here, or one of our cells that you hold it in your hands and press the energy into it. This is much more powerful than turning a dial, because you're not really focusing in that way. You're somehow thinking that there's magic in the dial, and this is causing things. So it actually distracts you. You use an actual symbolic machine with other plates and all that go with it. And we have all these plates that go with our machines like this. And of course, that's, as a basic tool, that's not bad. And they're inexpensive, particularly the ones that I produce. And you do get that thought form empowerment. And most radionic machines work like that anyway. But what you do is when you start using tube amplifiers that are processed in a very particular way, and transmitters that, again, we change them at the subatomic level so that they handle this kind of energy, you've now got a very powerful machine that you can easily send rates and so forth through this machine by putting the numbers in here, and that way you have it sent out. Something like this for $200 is really complete and total ripoff. As I said, there's under $10 in here. In terms of actual parts. But, you don't pay for the machine alone, to be honest with you. I mean, this guy had to engineer this. He had to buy the boxes. He had to put it on there. So you have to yet understand the fact that things aren't the cost of the parts. How many years did he spend engineering this crap? Maybe 2 or 3 days. And the things that go with it. And generally, you don't buy one box, one knob. You had to have these printed, which you probably had several printed at a time. So there are lots of costs, but your hard costs in this per unit is definitely probably under $8, maybe under $5. So all of what's in here is very inexpensive. And, these things are so simplistic that if they really did anything like this, it's just ridiculous. You want to get a good symbolic tool that's properly empowered in many different ways, like the cells that we sell, which have multiple energies in them. They have our symbolic machines like this. This isn't just the only design. I mean, we have built into this many, many radionic designs. This vibrates at a very high level because there's many different symbols built into it. And then what you put inside of here also is empowered by the actual shape of it. And we now use a new energetic discs that are programmed with particular sound waves to trigger the energies that you put in it. So it's very, very exciting, that technology. This, as we said a million times, this is going right in the trash with so many other things that we have. And so I certainly wouldn't waste my time using something like this. There's no benefit to this. There's nothing that this is going to help you with. It's just a big waste of money. If you feel that having a box with a dial on it does something, and that's going to empower you further, well, it just doesn't. You're being delusional. This distracts you. Get a good symbolic machine like this. Use the things in there, and you're going to do much better. So $200 for something like this is very, very overpriced, and very typical of what you see in the radionic industry of these kinds of ridiculous simplistic. I mean, it's so simplistic that it is worthless. And again, the basic construction in terms of it looks like it's solidly made. Nothing is loose. Nothing breaks. So that shows that there's a little thought going behind it. But it doesn't matter how well something is made. This just has no science behind it whatsoever. It's just plain and simple junk. And this will be put in the trash in a few minutes. Hope you've enjoyed it. Watch for our new, and remember, support this channel. Like this video. Go over to Patreon and join. Become an all-access member. All of this type of research, this by itself, I don't know when I bought this, it was probably about $150, $200 to buy this. That doesn't come from space, people. If you want good research, you want to see what's in these things, well, you have to contribute. And to get the real information, the real tech, well, you have to go over to our website. But if you want to get trained properly and you want to see the insides of machines like this, we have them all on our Patreon page. And that's pretty fascinating. No one else opens up stuff where you can actually see it like I do, and shows you and talks about the technology. Only I do it, only Radionic Tech, and this requires your support. So I hope you enjoyed this. More coming soon.